Hey everyone, we are here at Cornelius Ranches with our friend David Sykes here to tell us a little bit about dove hunting and dove hunting season. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
All right, so let's get down to the basics, do's and don'ts of dove hunting.
Well, I mean, dove hunting is such a tradition in South Texas that most people really know what it's all about. But if you want to learn more about it, I suggest that you find someone who dove hunts and go out with them. As we've said earlier, there's really nobody who gives guiding hunts for doves, but there are a lot of places that offer dove day leases.
Okay.
So, you know, for anywhere from $50 to maybe $100, you can go stay on a private ranch and shoot birds, you know, until you reach your limit. The limit is 15, by the way.
Okay.
And there are really 3 different kinds of doves you can shoot. The mourning dove is the most popular. White wing is pretty popular too in South Texas. And then there's a bird called a Eurasian collared dove, which is really an invasive species, so you can shoot as many as you want of those.
Okay.
But you can shoot pigeons also.
Okay, good to know. Now, when it comes to identifying these birds for someone like myself who's a beginner, although I should be with somebody who's experienced, what are some characteristics that I'm looking for?
They usually fly very straight. They're a no-nonsense flyer. They never stop flapping their wings until they're about to light. So they're really straight line flyers. And like if you're looking at a profile, they have kind of pointed tail, and then the wings kind of fly back. And really, if you've ever seen a pigeon, just think a little smaller and a longer tail.
Now, I know you're a professional wildlife photographer, but you do enjoy dove hunting. Tell me some of the basics. What kind of shotgun are we looking at bringing with us when we go on a dove hunt?
Most people shoot a small bore shotgun, 16 gauge, 20 gauge, 28 gauge, something like that. I brought a 16 today because it's a little windier. It's an old Winchester Model 21 that I inherited from my father-in-law. Typically you shoot doves morning and evening. They usually come into water before they go to roost. And we've been seeing some birds flying already, even though it's cloudy today.
Yeah, and a little chilly out, but we can handle it. So you went over a few of the basics. What are some do's and don'ts when it comes to dove hunting?
Don't shoot anything that's not a dove. You know, identify what you're shooting before you pull the trigger. Shoot within your comfort zone, you know, so you don't wound the birds.
You know, most people in South Texas use a 20 gauge, but I think 12 gauge is still used quite a bit. 20 gauge, a little easier on the shoulder.
Okay.
The shells are the same price, so that's not a big deal, but 20 gauge is a little more sporting. 28 gauge is gaining in popularity, though the guns are more expensive and the shells are more expensive.
Okay.
So, you know, but for the beginner, I'd suggest a 20 gauge. And over and under is a good gun to have, because the shells don't eject out and fall into the brush somewhere, because it's important to pick up the shells after you finish hunting. Cattle eat them. Farmers don't like you to do that. So if you want to get invited back, you probably should pick up your spit holes.
All right, so common courtesy, pick up your shells if you need to. And I feel like that's everything. Is there anything else that we want our viewers to keep in mind if they're planning on getting some?
Well, there is a split season. The season opens every September and mid-September this year, and then it reopens again in December. This year, December 18th, and it runs all the way until January. Most people don't take advantage of the late season, but in South Texas, we have doves year-round.
Yeah.
So, you know, while everybody else is out deer hunting, you can sneak into these fields and get some good dove hunting in.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate all the pointers. I think we've got all the information we need to have a pretty successful dove hunting season. Thank you.
Thank you.